Dames en heren, eerste spreker van vandaag, eerste keynote spreker van vandaag is de schrijver van een redelijk uitdagend boek. Het heet Code Halo's en het gaat over hoe die digitale revolutie, die digitale veranderingen, de levens van mensen beïnvloedt, de levens, de dingen beïnvloedt, organisaties beïnvloedt, bedrijven beïnvloedt en wat ze daar precies allemaal mee kunnen doen en hoe de business daarop zou moeten reageren. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the managing director of the Center of Future Work at Cognizant Technology Solutions, and he is going to tell you very much about, well, the disruption of digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a warm welcome, Paul Roehrig. There you are.
Thank you very much. Thank you and good morning. Unfortunately, I have to do this in English. So hopefully you'll bear with me. Now, I don't know if this happened, for sure. But in my imagination, I think of Kevin sleeping late at night in bed, his eyes are closed, and he's thinking, I want to do something different. And then he sits up suddenly and he says, get me an American. And so here I am. And so what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes talking to you about what we're observing at the Cognizant Center for the Future of Work on what we call managing at the crossroads. We think right now the whole digital transformation is much bigger than a technology story. And I think you probably feel this as well. That's why you're here. That's why you gave a day of your time to come talk about what does it mean for financial decision makers. We think a next wave of technology is not just about technology. In fact, it's changing how businesses create value, and even larger than that, it may be changing how commerce is conducted over the next 5 or 10 years. So let's start with the sad part of the story. Right now, we're taking more pictures than ever before in human history, and yet Kodak, the brand that really brought this to our common understanding, is bankrupt. We're also watching more movies online or at home than ever before, and yet Blockbuster Video, who actually really was responsible partly for this trend of us watching movies at home rather than the theater, is also bankrupt. And if you can't see that little note there, that's a Blockbuster sign, and it says LOL Netflix. Borders books, also, we're buying more books, thankfully, buying more books than ever before in history, and yet Borders, one of the main brands in selling books, is also bankrupt, and if you can't read that, it says, #IsYourBusinessNext. So very encouraging there. And finally, here's Master's Voice, HMV, one of the founding brands of consumer electronics and home music, also bankrupt. So upon further reflection, we think something might be really wrong with how companies are being organized right now. He makes me sad too, but he's okay. We think many firms are configured for the past and not unleashing their potential value. Many will face an extinction event unless they adapt, and right now you're going, okay, hold on. I've been doing this for a while, and consultants have been telling me, change, or your business is going to end. What's new about this? Well, we think something really different is happening right now. We think new technologies are transforming business and commerce in a way that we haven't seen for decades. This is a once-in-a-century shift. Companies now, and this is our assertion here, companies now are competing on code. This is the data and information surrounding people, organizations, devices, things all over the world. All right, so you're all financial decision makers, so you want to see data, so show me the numbers. So here's some numbers. Over the last 10 years alone, 6 companies created over $1 trillion in market cap value. $1 trillion. And you know these names, Pandora, Google, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple. $1 trillion created. If you don't believe me, here are the actual numbers. In 2003, the total market cap of these companies combined was about $34 billion. Facebook wasn't even founded. Google was private. Pandora was private. Netflix was just a fraction of its total market cap today. But look over, by 2013, $1.2 trillion in market value from 6 companies alone. And so the question now is, how did they do that? How did they do that, and what does that matter to me as the financial decision maker of a factory or retail or a bank or an insurance company? And we think this is explained by the phenomenon that we've labeled code halos. Data, devices, and people are creating halos of information that is adding value to a physical supply chain. The physical value chain is being modified to include the value of information around people, devices, and things. So step out of this event for just one moment. Think about last weekend. Think about Saturday night or Sunday night at your home in your private life. Have you ever felt that Pandora, Spotify, Netflix, Facebook, Twitter, and others are almost reading your mind? Have you ever done a search and said, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for? Or gone to look at a video and said, oh yeah, I really would like to see that. And the fact of the matter is that these companies are almost reading your mind. And they're doing it based on the data and information that you and I and all of us share with these companies. They know us because of the code, the information that we share with them. This is in our personal lives, and most of you probably go, oh yeah, okay, I get that. That's kind of what it feels like. But what really is important for all of us is that these code halos are now moving from our private lives into our enterprise lives. So what is a code halo? If you think about all of the interactions that you have in your personal life, connecting with friends on Facebook, buying things on Amazon, watching on Netflix, managing your career on LinkedIn, listening to music on Pandora or iTunes or Spotify, if you step back and think of all of the clicks, likes, swipes, buys, connections, searches that you do with these companies every single day, you can almost see, if you use your imagination, a halo of information around you and around me. This is the virtual life actions creating a field of information that these companies are now embracing and creating huge amounts of value. Amazon, Netflix, Pandora, and these other companies, they don't see just the physical me or the physical you. They see all of the things about us that make us important to them. And then they can connect to us in new and exciting ways. So this is me. To look at me physically, you don't see any of this other stuff. You don't know that I'm a father with 2 daughters, that I ride a bike badly. I used to be an academic. I like John Coltrane. I don't like Justin Bieber. I travel too much. I have a health history, a financial history, a career history, all of these things. Nobody will see this when I walk into a store or when I contact a company. And so now, these code halos that we have in our personal lives have turned into any noun, any person, any place, any thing, any device, has a physical self as well as a virtual self. And companies that can find meaning on code, this is changing how companies are creating value. So let's look at a couple examples here. Musical preferences are tightly correlated to political preferences. Politics in the morning? What are you, crazy? But it's true. If you like anybody know who this is? Garth Brooks. Okay, this is Garth Brooks, country American music star, right? Garth Brooks. It turns out, if you like Garth Brooks, the chances are, remember him? I'm very sorry. Chances are you vote Republican. Okay, maybe it's the hat, I don't know. But if you like Madonna, chances are that you will vote Democrat. Probably you know he doesn't look like that anymore. I don't know what he's smoking. But it gets more interesting. It's not just silly examples. The chances, if you like Jimi Hendrix, rock guitar player, the chances are also that you like science fiction. And now it gets a little weird. Wait a minute, what I like in music also informs other things that I might like, other kinds of media. But hang on. Your taste in music may also correlate with your intelligence. And now this is getting very important to business decision makers. Imagine if you knew how smart all your customers were. Well, if you don't believe me, check out music that makes you dumb. It's a remarkable study because what this guy did, he looked at all of the music likes on Facebook assigned to a university, and then he also compared those to the average college entrance exam scores. And he found, right, the smart kids are listening to Beethoven, everybody else is kind of in the middle. Rage Against the Machine is in the middle, the Grateful Dead in the middle, Norah Jones is pushing up the high side, Led Zeppelin is kind of the smartish kids are doing that. And then on the downside, right, Lil Wayne is not looking good, right? Music that makes you dumb. So suddenly, who would have guessed that what's in your music library can provide rich customer insight? This is code halos coming into action. So let's play a little game. Pandora, music streaming service. If you like a song, you click on the uplink, you click on a thumbs up, and then it tunes the music that they give you. So every thumb link is, okay, I like it, or I don't like it, I don't do anything. So every thumbs up gets you closer to your perfect station, Pandora. Here's the quiz. Pandora uses your music taste to connect you to, show of hands please, LinkedIn colleagues. No, okay. Political candidates. No, you're not playing along. The NSA. Again, I'm very sorry. Or Justin Bieber? Well, the answer is political candidates. It turns out that as you like songs, Pandora tunes the ads that they share with you, and so it doesn't get you closer to your perfect station, it gets you closer to your perfect candidate. So suddenly the silly example about Madonna it makes sense. This is a commercial model that's tied to my code. Okay, here's another one, Facebook. By looking at your posting pattern, Facebook can predict when you are A, buying a house. No, everybody still needs coffee. Taking a vacation. C, falling in love. That's crazy. Or D, falling in love with Justin Bieber. I had a thing for Justin Bieber. I guess it's unnatural. Well, it turns out Facebook can watch you fall in love. Now we just entered the creepy zone. During the 100 days before the relationship starts, we observe a slow but steady increase in the number of timeline posts shared between the future couple. Wow. So your code halo with Facebook is now sharing your relationship status. Here's the final one. This is even closer to the business. Weather data is now being sold and used to A, help derivative traders, B, target specific shampoo and hair care sales, C, reduce insurance claims via SMS warnings, or D, help wind farms predict annual yield. This is the only trick question. The answer is all of the above. This is weather data code in action that's driving real business. There is a correlation for bug spray that's kind of bizarre. We found a very small difference in dew point, made a huge difference in bug spray orders. Suddenly we've moved from the ridiculous to the very, very real. Banking, insurance, retail, these are your companies. This is moving very quickly as code halos move from our private lives into the enterprise world. Products, customers, employees, companies, suppliers, partners, and supply chains all have code. And the companies that are figuring out how to make value from this code are winning in the market. This is happening in many industries right now. And what's important for you, what's important for today, for you to explore today, is that this shift is following a repeatable pattern. Businesses are coming to the crossroads. I'm not going to go into detail on each of the model phases, but what we observed in industry after industry, sector after sector, companies that focused only on their physical assets faced oftentimes an extinction event, and companies that were able to combine value from the physical and the digital are achieving market differentiation. They're winning at the crossroads, if you will. Here's just one example. We go into a lot of detail in the app and the book, but this is in book sales. In the late 1990s, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Borders, they were roughly equivalent. 1995, the sector, or 2005 rather, the sector flipped as e-commerce scaled. Now Amazon's over $20 billion. By 2012, you know the story here. Barnes & Noble is bouncing along the bottom. Borders, bankrupt. Amazon, well beyond book sales, now they're selling everything. They've changed retail, and it's all based on how they manage data and information and connect it to us as consumers. And they said that more than 35% of Amazon's total revenue is due to how they connect to us and provide a personalized user experience. So now, where does the next $1 trillion come from? How do you join the $1 trillion club? And the answer is it comes from balancing physical and virtual supply chains. This is a terrific quote. I strongly encourage you to read this piece by Brian Arthur from the Santa Fe Institute, published in McKinsey Quarterly. He said, by 2025, the second economy, this is the digital economy, the not just physical economy, but the digital code-enabled economy, will be as large as the 1995 physical economy. So think about that. All of human history, the creation of accounting, the first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, all of human history led to a physical economy in 1995 of a certain size, and his prediction is in 30 years, the total economy would double. Based on code, based on information. So he's a pundit, right? He predicts things. Even if he's half wrong, it's a remarkable shift. It's a shift that we haven't seen since the last industrial revolution. In fact, Cognizant did a study here. We said, and some of you may have participated in this, some of your companies, we tried to understand what is the value of business analytics, the value of meaning making. And 300 companies globally from Europe and North America said, the economic impact in both revenue and sales over the last 12 months alone, based on business analytics, how well you use that information, 572 billion euros for 300 companies alone. So suddenly, Brian Arthur's prediction of the economy doubling makes a lot more sense. So if you buy this, if you buy the data, right? If you agree with the data and the conclusions, then the big question is, so now what? What do you do, right? Tomorrow you have to go back to your manufacturing company and your bank and manage the financial health of your institution. So where do you start? So we have three starting points. The first is the customer interface. We're entering the era of mass personalization, where companies that can embrace code of customers can create massive amounts of value. Our expectations as consumers are being changed by Code Halo experience. This is it's a great name, I think, Halo, right? The Halo app that you can service that you can use in London to order a cab. It's a remarkable application interface. It connects to GPS, financial systems. You can click, the cab will come. You can watch the cab drive through London as it arrives to your spot. If something goes wrong, he can click a button. You can call him, you can call her, whatever you want to do. But what's key about this for you is that this is changing our expectations of what a company delivers to us via code. And we're beginning now to expect and demand and differentiate between brands on how well a company gives us a personalized, beautiful user experience. This is Square, right? So now you can pay, right? This connects directly to your bank account. You can walk in, you can buy stuff, you just click, you don't have to touch money or a credit card. It's all secure, it's private, they give you reports. It's a wonderful consumer experience. Now, how many people have been to Disney World? But you guys aren't flexible. Okay? So if you've been to Disney World, you know, right, have gone there with kids, you know it can be a very difficult experience. It's complicated, it's crowded, it's hot or cold. Disney knows this. And so they have launched this Magic Band bracelet to guide visitors through the park. This is a Code Halo solution that connects Disney's code to our code. This is a mature SMAC stack-based solution. It includes social, mobile, analytics, cloud-enabled technology, all of the things you heard about in the video. And this bracelet now is a park ticket, a room key. It allows you to manage the queues. You can swipe and buy the Mickey Mouse ears. It's a wonderful experience. And then they collect all kinds of data about you, and then they can sell you things afterwards. So Disney is managing our code. They're creating code halos around their guests, and they're doing it for commercial reasons, of course. They're not saying this. An analyst said they have invested up to $1 billion in this. What about banking? Consumers really want a personalized banking experience. This is a great company, a great study from Cisco. 69% of consumers would provide personal information in exchange for more tailored financial advice. We want this. So there's a lot of discussion around security, privacy, compliance, the right to be forgotten by the EU now. But people want to opt in, and it's our job together to figure out how they can do that. Another starting point is the product interface, the rise of the smart machine. Philips is reorganizing to win with information. They're making organizational changes. They have a digital board, a digital accelerator lab. They're holding hackathons. They're building code around their consumer products to enhance the consumer experience. They're managing buildings now with light. It's fascinating. Vodafone is turning your car now into a phone. They're working with Volkswagen and Audi to put a SIM chip and more into the car. They're doing this for entertainment, to support entertainment. So play Justin Bieber, the car. I can't do that, sorry. Navigation, you are here. Safety, call for help. GE is now harnessing code halos around a jet engine. They're creating a social jet engine with sensor technology because a 1% efficiency save is $2 billion in annual savings for airlines. So industry after industry, sector after sector, companies are decoding what does it mean to compete on information? What will the information give to us as an enterprise? The final starting point is rethinking product design, creating a beautiful experience. This is House of Cards, right? The Netflix series House of Cards. It's a code halo story all around product development. It's a great quote. Netflix knew House of Cards could succeed in any business. The ability to see into the future is the killer app, and Netflix may be getting close with House of Cards, already the most streamed piece of content in the US and 40 other countries. The spooky part about that, executives at the company knew it would be a hit before anyone shouted action. They knew because they had the data, and you have the data. Everybody sitting in here is sitting on a mountain of data, and you know it, and your IT folks know it. Netflix knew it, and they used the numbers to create a new product. They had 33 million worldwide subscribers. They knew the director of the social network was streamed a lot, David Fincher. Films featuring Kevin Spacey also did very well on Netflix, and the British version of House of Cards did well on Netflix. They put these pieces together. They created the US version of Netflix. They got 3 million new subscribers. They passed HBO. The Netflix share price went from $180 to $422 as of Wednesday. Multiple Emmy nominations and wins. They changed their business model based on data and information. So manufacturing, banking, insurance, media, retail, all of these sectors are beginning to compete on code, and financial leaders, you, must sit in the driver's seat. CEOs, is a great quote from Forrester, CEOs and boards' days of being absentee tech landlords are over. Forrester believes that increasing customer expectations, fueled by an accelerating pace of technology change, will increase the delta between the haves and have-nots in terms of financial performance. This is us. The next 10 years will see more change than any time since the Great Depression in the makeup of the Fortune 1000, as some companies figure out the power of software, or code, as we would call it, and others do not. Meaning makers, companies that do this well, have an amazing financial advantage. The study that we conducted said what we called meaning makers, companies that did this better than others, had an 11.3% boost in revenue and a 10.7% reduction in cost. Overall, this is 10% more than the companies that didn't do well. So imagine 10% of your income statement now at play. Now I have your attention. 91.5 billion euros for the digital transformation over the next 3 years alone, according to PA Consultants. This is happening in Europe, it's happening in North America, and it's happening very rapidly. So financial leaders must drive code halo tactics. This includes driving innovation agendas within your firms, making sure that your company is investing in code halo solutions to avoid the potential extinction event that Blockbuster and others have faced. Make IT your halo heroes. There is cost savings to be taken from IT to help fund this innovation. There are lots of tactics that you can help drive in your companies to use data to drive not just cost savings, but also revenue growth. This is not just a cost-saving exercise. This is about, like we looked at with Netflix, this is a new product, a new solution development kind of process. And drive new commercial models. How does information equal value? How can you monetize digital assets? The physical value chain still has value, but digital assets have even more value. Our main call is, if it costs more than 50 euros and you can't eat it, you should have a code halo around it. So your new mission, in fact, our new mission, collectively, if you choose to accept it, is to manage on code halos, to manage on information, to manage on meaning, to compete on knowledge and insight, not just physical supply chains. So why do these topics matter so much today? I'll leave you with one final quote as you go through the rest of the day. This is a terrific quote from Mary Meeker, who she works for Kleiner Perkins now. She was a Wall Street analyst before. Because everything is up for grabs again. We're in an era where we are reimagining nearly everything, powered by new devices, plus connectivity, plus new user interfaces, plus beauty. Beauty. Who talks about beauty at a CFO conference? But it's true. Think about the beautiful experiences that technology gives us now. Think of Halo, think of Netflix, think of Amazon, Google. Those are beautiful customer experiences. And the companies that are figuring that out, old school companies too, not just digital natives, Disney, GE, Philips, that's your company. They're creating new customer experiences. They're learning from code. They're competing on data and insight. And the time is now. It's going to be a remarkable next phase of all of our careers as our companies transform from competing purely on physical value chain to competing on physical plus digital value chain. If you're interested at all, we've got a book called Code Halos. There's an iPad app that you can download. We'd love to talk to you more. I'll be around today. The Cognizant team will be around. That's the sign for me to stop talking, and I'm getting get off the stage signals from the side. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a terrific event. Thank you.
Paul Roehrig, thank you very much. Paul, thank you. One question for you, Paul. Two questions. Please join me. Please join me. But I was wondering, when I heard your terrific speech, actually, I was wondering, when I am a CEO of a company that doesn't have its products in the digital world, but just in the physical world, like say, what if I make beer or shampoo or diapers? What should I do then?
So that's a great question. So all of those, if you look at sensor technology, for beer, I had a really interesting conversation with a US does make beer.
No.
We call it beer.
We agree.
There's a joke in there, but I'm not going. So beer and supply chain. So there are all kinds of companies that are exploring how do you use sensor technology. This is just an example where we haven't built this, but to say sensor enable the beer tap connected to your mobile device and recode the moment of engagement around beer. Right? Pull the tap, buy a beer, get a coupon, it leads into your supply chain. You now have much more visibility in the end-to-end supply chain of a physical thing. Mm-hmm. GE is doing terrific things. Philips, again, is doing terrific things about enabling the end-to-end value chain of the physical reality, our physical reality. Whether it's a mobile device or sensor technology or wearable computing, mm-hmm. all of these elements of the Internet of Things, if you think about it, they're creating code. And companies that are able to decode that and create value from that, they're entering in a wonderful new era of differentiation. So it's not just the digital natives. Traditional companies are very rapidly, your companies are very rapidly figuring out how to make value from this.
I like the story about the code halo around me. There was, I don't think if you followed it, but there was a big discussion in the Netherlands, I think 2 months ago, where a Dutch bank announced that they were prepared selling their client data to others for marketing purposes. Yeah. So can't there be a backlash on your story?
Absolutely. The unnamed Dutch bank made some of the biggest mistakes that you can make in this new reality. So whether it's a Dutch bank or the NSA, right? So I'll bring the Americans into this too. The NSA, the real issue is not that they were exchanging data or creating value from that data, which they were doing, right? Or they were intending to do. And you could argue whether the NSA was creating value or destroying it, but that's for over a beer. The mistake that they made, and we discuss this in the book, is they didn't allow you as a Dutch banking customer to opt in. And one of the things that we assert in the book is that your code is yours. And companies that respect that and really internalize that as an ethical standard, they will be able to have competitive differentiation over time.
But Paul, sometimes it doesn't feel like that. For instance, if my wife, and she shouldn't have done that, but she bought boots on Zalando, from that moment, I'm haunted by Zalando. And I think, I already have boots. Please, leave me alone. Right. But they don't.
No.
So I do not have the feeling that that code is mine. I think the code is Zalando.
But it should be.
Yeah.
It should be, right? And so if there was another company and she bought another pair of boots right, where she opted in.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing more and more of cases where there is an opt-in. Some companies are even charging you for a loyalty program now, and you're thinking, well, hang on, how does that work? But people don't want your experience with your wife's boots.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be able to opt in. They still want value. They still want to communicate, but they don't want to be stalked. They don't want to be hunted.
Right.
And so the notion of opting in and being able to manage your code, one of the other sponsors, Google, has taken a lot of heat, in fact, for how they share and store data. But we think they're doing a terrific job. It's just the early days of the shift. Now, are they making mistakes? Yeah. But they're already creating products where you can pull your code out. You can say, I don't want to do this anymore. Send me everything you know about me, and they'll send it back.
Right.
So if you recognize that this is the early days of a massive disruptive shift, then to me, these are problems that are solvable. They're not solved yet, but that's the fun part. We're going to solve these over the next quarters and years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Roehrig,
much.
thank you very much.